What's going on, Crimson Tide fans? Chris Doctor here with the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports. Both the baseball team and the softball team are currently in the postseason right now. Alabama baseball actually just won here a couple of hours ago to advance to the second round of the SEC tournament. And Alabama softball also going to the Super Regionals. Let's go ahead and wish them luck by typing those RTRs down in the comment section. All right, coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking the quarterback battle a little bit on today's video. Kalen DeBoer gave us a little bit of a timeline, so we'll touch on that, possibly when he would possibly name a starting quarterback for Alabama going into the 2025 season. And also, 247 Sports interviewed a coach of an Alabama player that they got in this freshman class, and his coach said he might be a generational talent. It was not Keelon Russell, but stick with us here on today's video, and we'll tell you who that is here in just a little bit. But before we get into all that, I want to make sure you guys are subscribed right here to the channel. We've got a lot of news and rumors coming up here in the summertime, specifically around recruiting, but the bosses said we need 500 new subs here in the month of May, and we are over halfway there. We only need 230 more, so help me out, help yourself out, and stay up to date on all things Alabama football related. Hit that sub button for me right now. All right, first up on today's show, we're talking the quarterback battle here. Kalen DeBoer gave us an ideal timeline of when he wants to make a decision for that quarterback battle, basically saying it's going to be about a week and a half before that first game. About 10 days is kind of what I got from that article. Out from that first game is when he wants to actually make that decision known. Whether or not we actually know as Alabama fans or whether it's going to be more of an internal thing, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. But around 10 days before that first game is when they would really like to know and when that team is really going to find out. Look, Ty Simpson really seems like he has taken the lead for the quarterback battle this spring, which at the end of the day does make a lot of sense. Look, he's he's going into his redshirt junior season, and he's 22 years old. When you compare that to the other guys, that is a lot. That is a level of maturity and leadership that he is going to bring to this team next year, and it's going to be a big factor in who ends up winning that quarterback battle. Summer is obviously a massive time when these guys just can continue to improve and just get better. We got this photo the other day when a lot of these guys were out in Las Vegas. You see Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, Keelon Russell, Jeremy Bernard, Isaiah Horton, Rico Scott, Derek Meadows, all there working out with some of those Las Vegas Raiders players as well, including quarterback Geno Smith as well was there. And if you look all the way over on that right side in the red shirt there, you can see Austin Mack just looks absolutely massive. And, one thing about Austin Mack is he actually doesn't turn 19 years old until June 5th. So him and Keelon Russell right now are actually the same age for at least 2 more weeks now until Austin Mack actually turns 19 years old. So, I really love the work that these guys are, putting in during the offseason. And, it's not just Ty Simpson. It is everybody. And, when you have the atmosphere where you can go out there and you can bring the other quarterbacks, Keelon Russell and Austin Mack, in there as well, I think that just says a lot about the team chemistry and just kind of what these guys are building and just, bringing each other along as well. There's no selfishness about this, whether it's going to be Ty Simpson or Austin Mack or Keelon Russell being that quarterback. All these guys are working together, and they're working together with the wide receivers too. So I really, really do love to see that, and I think this team chemistry this year is going to be really, really high. So let me know here at the pin comment of today's video, are you guys confident in Ty Simpson? Let me know what you guys think. Type Y for yes or N for no down in the comment section of today's video. All right, so Nick Saban was also asked about Ty Simpson, and this is what he had to say. He said, Ty Simpson was an outstanding high school player, no doubt. He's a fine young man, and I think he is a true example of development. He has matured for 2 years, and now he is getting an opportunity, and his experience will help him with that success. I see a lot of people bringing up Ty Simpson not being able to beat out Jalen Milroe in 2023, but I think that, quarterback battle back then was a lot more than just talent-based when it comes to Ty Simpson. Does he have to be better than what he's been in his career in 16 games? Yeah, sure. Definitely. But I do think Jalen Milroe at the time was a better leader than Ty Simpson. And I think Ty was also battling through some injuries during that time frame as well. He had a finger injury that I think, made it really hard for him to get on top of the ball. Some of those balls kind of sailed on him a little bit. And, think about this too. Just 2 years ago, Ty Simpson was a redshirt freshman. Why doesn't anybody really just assume that a redshirt freshman is going to be super polished and, that final product and, just a surefire to win that quarterback battle? I don't, really care if he was a 5-star coming in at the end of the day. Sometimes players just need more time to develop, and that's just kind of the way it is right now with Ty Simpson. Not everybody develops at the exact same pace, and at the end of the day, it's just going to come down to who can move the ball down the field, who can move the chains more consistently, and who can lead this team. I personally think it's going to be Ty Simpson to lead Alabama, possibly to a national championship, and I definitely think to the college football playoffs in 2025. All right, next up on today's show, we're going to talk about why Latier Brooks was so overlooked coming out of high school. 247 Sports, talked to his coach, and his coach dropped the term of being a generational talent. Now, that's, a word that some people throw around out there. Generational means once in a generation, and you already got a guy like, Ryan Williams in this wide receiver room right now. He could be a generational talent, but we'll talk about Latier Brooks as well here in just a second. But first, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Fanatics. You guys can go over to chatsports.com/Bama Polo. If you guys need a Father's Day gift, I know Father's Day is coming up here in just a couple of weeks, couple of months. Is it in June or July? Stone's telling me it's in June. So if you guys need a Father's Day gift, there's an incredible Alabama Crimson Tide Scenic Polo is what they're calling it. They got the stadium on there. They've got different buildings around campus on there. Like I mentioned yesterday, I still have no idea what this is. You can also see it kind of, right there in the middle of the shirt as well. But it's a really cool shirt. I think it just screams Father's Day gift. So go over to chatsports.com/Bama Polo. It's about 50% off right now. So get down in the comments, and I've also got that link in the description as well. So you guys can go over to chatsports.com/Bama Polo if you want to get that Scenic Polo today. All right, so Alex Scarborough, 247 Sports, dove into why freshman wide receiver Latier Brooks was so underrated coming out of high school. Look, when Alabama offered him back on April 11th of 2024, he was ranked as the 432nd player overall in the 247 Sports rankings. He then just went on to break pretty much every single school record and state record in his senior season at that wide receiver position. He got on campus here at Alabama and immediately started turning heads this spring. And if you even go to his TikTok, he posted a video from practice as well where he was just cooking absolutely everybody in coverage. Bray Hubbard as well was a guy that mentioned him, as a player that's going to surprise a lot of people this season as well. And he is also, drawing a lot of comparisons to a guy like Jaden Waddle, just the way he can get in and out of his cuts and just burn people in some of those routes. This is what Latier Brooks' head coach in high school, told 247 Sports about Latier Brooks. He said, "We looked at him as he was a generational talent. Some kids spend thousands of dollars. I don't think he even went to a trainer. He wasn't doing any speed training. When some guys are just gifted, he's that. He's not thinking about it. It's just his natural ability." And he also added this too, which I absolutely love this quote. "He is strong as shit. And I think his max squat coming out of high school was 470 pounds, and he was power cleaning well over 220. That is absolutely crazy for a guy that's listed at 5'9", 188 pounds. I am very, very excited about Latier Brooks and possibly getting a lot of playing time this year for Alabama. So let me know here in the comment section, how many touchdowns do you guys think Latier Brooks will rack up here in his freshman year? Let me know what you guys think. Get those predictions down in the comment section. All right, we talked about the fact that Latier Brooks was very low ranked or rated coming out of high school per pretty much every single recruiting service out there. 247 Sports had him ranked as the number 60 wide receiver. On3 had him ranked as the number 28 wide receiver. Rivals had him ranked as the number 78 wide receiver. So at the end of the day, the big question is, why was Latier Brooks ranked so low coming out of high school? The simple fact about it was he did not attend really any camps throughout his recruiting process. And make no mistake about it, Latier Brooks still has to go out there and prove himself on the field during games. Sure, he's going off during practice, during spring, whatever. when it comes down to game time, that's when it really, really does matter. And I keep bringing this up when it comes to guys, talking about recruiting, and we're talking about those recruiting rankings. If you don't attend these open camps, scouts don't get a chance to actually see you in person. Therefore, they can't evaluate you. Therefore, they can't move you up and down the rankings. And, you mentioned that, Brooks's coach, or in this article, they also mentioned that Latier Brooks's coach is also the one that actually took him to that closed camp at Alabama. And, after Nick Saban retired, there was some doubt from Latier Brooks because one of his dreams was to play for Nick Saban. When Nick Saban ended up retiring, kind of got a little shaky there. But, his coach actually convinced him that he needed to stay in the game. He needed to take another visit to Alabama, and he needed to meet head coach Kalen DeBoer and Courtney Morgan, the GM for Alabama as well, because Kalen DeBoer was an offensive-minded head coach. And as much as everybody loves Nick Saban, he was a defensive-minded guy. So at the end of the day, he just wanted to give Kalen DeBoer another opportunity. And what's interesting as well that they mentioned was he was actually supposed to take a visit to Kentucky the following week as well, but they ended up not making that trip because he went down and he met Courtney Morgan and he met Kalen DeBoer, ended up committing to Alabama during that visit. So, I think a guy like Rico Scott is kind of going to fit that same mold as Latier Brooks. I think they're going to kind of use them the same way. But, remember what Nick Saban always used to say, more so about the quarterbacks than anything else, but I do think it matters a little bit here too. He always used to say, make yourself undeniable. Force the coaching staff to play you. I think Latier Brooks is going to find a way to make this coaching staff put him on the field in 2025. And look, with your wide receiver core, Jeremy Bernard, Ryan Williams, Isaiah Horton, Jalen Hale coming back from injury, Rico Scott got a lot of buzz, Jalen Mbakwe coming over from the defensive side of the ball. You got Cole Adams as well. You got a lot of guys in this wide receiver room that are absolutely dogs. So, he's going to get on the field, on the offensive side of the ball. That's going to happen, but there could be opportunities as well to see him on special teams. I think, in those returner spots, whether that's punt returner or kickoff, whatever it is, Latier Brooks is definitely going to get an opportunity to put up some big numbers for Alabama this season.